Hi everybody, and welcome to my latest episode of Mrs. Mummypenny Talks. And this week I carry on with the interviews, which I've been doing probably for the past, since lockdown pretty much. I've been interviewing founders of businesses that I find inspiring, or I love the products, or maybe they're just businesses that I think I want to give a bit of a promo to. Like, I've interviewed some really great leaders of artistic products, and I go with it. I interview who I like. So this person next to me is somebody who I like, and somebody who I've really noticed, oh my gosh, like what you've been doing the past I'm going to say the past 6 months is where I've really noticed you a lot. So Jennifer Kempson, who is otherwise known as Mamafurfur, I'd love to know where that name comes from, is joining me today all the way from boiling hot Scotland and Hertfordshire. I can't cope with the heat.
Exactly. Thank you for having me, and this is a delight. Oh, James, I think I spoke to you before my first UK money bloggers event, and that was like two and a bit years ago, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember being on Twitter. I think you were one of the first people who said hello and things when I started being a creator. Yeah, when I was reading your blog. So this is a total delight. I'm very down.
Ah, thank you. Oh, that's really lovely. Yeah, I remember. I think we had So we are members of a community which is called the UK Money Bloggers, and I don't know how many people. I suppose it's about 300 people.
Oh yeah, it's big.
And there's all different, very different niches in that group, but everybody has a money focus. So where you are, I'm going to say you have absolutely nailed YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube's my baby, absolutely.
You are probably, I'm going to say you are the most successful money YouTuber I know. Okay. And you're consistent, and your videos are really good, and you're great on camera. So I can see why you've got, well, I don't know how you've got that many followers. It's or subscribers. It's amazing. But that's like your baby, isn't it? That's where you put most of your focus. Yeah,
absolutely. So I started on YouTube being a money creator about 2.5 years ago now, so March 2018. And actually the first time we probably met was the awards. Once a year they have awards in the money blogger community. It's very showbiz, and you go along, and I won the UK's top YouTube channel. So I'd only been around for like 6 or 7 months, and I beat a lot of people who've been doing it for years. So that was really quite humbling. And then last year as well, I was awarded the best micro influencer, which basically was YouTube and Instagram. It was all combined. So since March 2018, I've been focusing more on making videos. I also have a blog, mamafurfur.com, but it's very much, YouTube is something I love. I've been a sales rep all my adult life. I'm used to speaking in front of customers. I've got the gift of the gab and things. So I really love video. And for the past 2.5 years, I definitely think there was a small community of YouTubers back then, and now it's definitely opened up. There's a lot of new people that are certainly, giving me a good run for my money, but there's probably about 5 or 6 people who've been doing it as long as I have that are, focused on finance. So it's really lovely. And I think I'm the only woman predominantly in the kind of higher subscriber category. So just about to hit 40,000 subscribers. So I've got goals. I've got big goals.
Well, last time I looked at I get notifications whenever you put new videos up, which you're putting up a lot of videos at the moment, like 3 a week maybe.
Yeah, so lockdown I put down 5 a week because I felt like it was particularly evident that the number of people using YouTube when lockdown happened just tripled, doubled, tripled. It was huge. Because video content is huge. Well, look, we're on Zoom, right? This is the way that people are communicating. And I think YouTube is the second biggest search engine. So where your blog is fantastic, people find you on Google, YouTube equally they're going to for answers. And I felt that during that time, people were ready for money. They were looking for answers if they'd maybe been furloughed, struggling with their like everything. And I just felt a bit of a calling for those couple of months to really just kind of give them as much help as I could about investing and saving and budgeting, really strip it, but even passive incomes, doing side hustles. So now I'm dialing down to about 2 or 3 a week now. I'm calming down. But
it's a lot of work, right? Because let's talk about my struggles with YouTube. Let's have a bit of a therapy session about YouTube.
Okay, go for it.
So we've all got things that we when you're a business owner, you choose some things to focus on, okay?
Absolutely, yep.
And you can't focus on everything because you're not going to do a great job. So I've chosen to focus pretty much all my effort onto my blog, and I do focus on Instagram. Those are my two things. I mean, well, there are lots of other things that get attention, but in terms of YouTube, I've got like a love-hate relationship with it because it's such a faff to like the actual creation of content, like us sitting here having this chat. This is the easiest thing in the world. It's also one of the most fun things to do.
Exactly.
But then the editing and all that horrible stuff afterwards, I literally can't bear it. So what I do with my videos, and you're gonna probably like be, oh my god, I can't believe you do that. So I record this, and I literally just load it to YouTube. I don't do any editing.
That's okay, but you know, you're completely right. So a typical kind of plan of my videos is normally I'll spend about an hour and a half researching, because obviously it involves some level of, and I don't use a script, I actually have on my phone I have a teleprompt, so it's just like the main slides. So that helps me record faster because I can basically use my iPad and flick to the next slide. So I know what to speak about. I know the logic. I know, there you go. Top tip.
Yeah.
And it's
top tip. I'm writing it down.
It's an application called Keynote. So let me show you.
Oh, Keynote.
Yeah. So if you look, so I'll just show you. This is a video that I don't know if it's going to show in here, but basically it's Keynote. So I've got my slides. I do them on my Mac, and then I've got that. So when I'm sitting there, it can be live. It can be like I'm doing a presentation from my phone, and it will show my slides. So I do that. So you've got an hour and a bit of research for one video, because I need to feel like you with a blog post. You need to research what are people interested in, but also, and I think this is maybe where you're going now in your career, what do you feel inspired to actually talk about is hugely important. So I don't typically do a lot of SEO and all that kind of number crunching. No. It's now the case of what do I feel is missing from the conversation right now? What do I feel people need? And I love that, you know, that kind of vibe, rather than I want eyeballs on me. You actually want to feel you're different. Really. So yeah, I will do research. Filming is probably about an hour a video, because I've got a little setup I need to do. I can move at different places. I've got microphones to set up and everything. So about an hour making it, and then editing. So I use software and usually do it all myself, but I do graphics. I might do cartoons. I might do, you know, you're probably another 2-3 hours to just get a video edited and looking, because people are quite demanding.
Wow.
On YouTube, that they want it to feel as professional as possible, and I want to do as good as well as I can. So maybe one video is about the 8-hour mark, maybe 6-hour mark, all in. And then, so I've just always really enjoyed the process. I don't really enjoy editing and things like that so much, but I do enjoy the research, the presenting, everything that's very creative driven. I really enjoy that side of it. But yeah, it's a labor of love. It definitely is.
So 8 hours?
Yeah, about 6 hours. If you count it all in, I would definitely say about 6 hours per video at least.
That's interesting. So if I compare that to a blog post,
probably about 3 hours all in, maybe 2 or 3 hours all in, would you say?
For a blog post, it depends, because it depends on the research element, right? So if I give you an example of one I did recently. So Faith and I did a spending diary comparison for Pension B that we all know. You've done some work with Pension B, haven't you?
I have.
Yeah.
I did videos about them, but I wasn't, you know, inspired by them or anything. I wasn't paid by them, if you know what I mean.
yeah. But so there was the initial. I mean, I was keeping a spending diary anyway, but there's the effort of, you know, keeping a month's worth of spending diary, then analysing it. So we produced some sort of graphs and pie charts and stuff. And then it was quite a natural process to write it. So Faith sent me her diary, I had mine, and I literally just sat there and wrote it. And the actual process of writing the post is pretty easy for me, because I'm so inspired by what I'm writing about, and I love what I'm doing. I can do it in sort of, if I sit and focus, I can do it in an hour. But then you've got to go through and obviously proofread it, and because I'm shocking at spelling and grammar, And then I get it to a nice format in Word. Then I send it to Pension Bee for them to have a look at. Obviously, Faith sees a copy of it because it was, you know, a post that both of us were in. And then you get to the point where it's all approved. Then you plonk it on your website. Then you've got to go through and do all the SEO stuff that you already touched upon. So SEO, for people listening, it's a dark art of how you get posts.
So voodoo. Nobody quite knows what it is. We just think we're all doing it, but we don't have a clue.
No, we really don't have a clue. And sometimes I have posts that do really well where I've like made no effort on SEO, and then sometimes I really try hard and it doesn't perform anything on Google. It's bizarre, but I do try. I know quite a bit about it. But and then you have to do the graphics for the post, and you have to have your tagging. Yeah, so I suppose all in all, a blog post like that is probably maybe 5 or 6 hours in total.
Exactly, yeah. But it's a lot more maybe high level deep diving, I think, in some respect, like video, although you might get the video content done, it's probably the same as you get the blog post, the video, the actual output, but there seems like double the amount of time faffing with it, you know, to try and get it ready to actually put out. So that's a tough bit, I suppose. But yeah, it's definitely, you have to, with both blogging and YouTube, I think you start it because you want to share a message, which is fantastic. And then what you have to do, it's almost like working out. There's going to be a break point where you actually need to be committed to it, that you really do enjoy it. It's not just something you're making money from, it's something you genuinely enjoy. Because I feel like your tone and voice, people have to resonate more with a blog and YouTube. They have to like you, they have to want to read and enjoy your stuff. So it's really super important to actually enjoy it and still like want to do it every day or every couple of days or whatever.
Yeah. So I've got so many questions. So my first question is, how on earth did you get like 40,000 subscribers? Because I've got hang on, I'm going to need to shut my doors. Somebody's just mowing the lawn. I'll be back.
Talk to me. I could tell jokes. I don't know that many good ones.
Done. I knew that would happen.
How did I get to 40,000 subs? That's what you're wondering.
How?
Just making content consistently. I think, see, I haven't had a breakthrough video, or I haven't had a viral video or any of that. So I actually, and I shared this a couple of months ago, how like I kind of built up revenue streams and my side hustles. But basically I did the same as a lot of people. I basically kept making content. It was pretty much once a week for about a year into that 2.5 year mark. So it wasn't until last July that I actually started making 2-3 videos a week. So I was making one a week, and I just kept going back to what are the topics people seem to be asking about or interested in. What have I struggled to get UK information about? So you'll definitely resonate with this. There's nobody really there wasn't talking about investing and actually building side hustles. It was all American people, you know, American blogs, you know, we think of money, Mr. Money Mustache and all this, you know, that kind of stuff. And I couldn't find anyone relatable that was talking about actually investing, in particular investing, which is so critical. And so I think because I latched upon topics that I was learning about that I didn't think anyone else was talking about, I think that helped, like just because people were wanting the information. But genuinely, when I look at my stats, I do think it's like a marathon for me. Like I started maybe getting maybe 5 or 10 subscribers a day, so you end up with maybe a couple of hundred a month. But right now I'm more like maybe 3,500 a month. So it's like compound interest. I know. But that'll just keep going. It's totally a labour of love, where all your back catalogue keep driving things and your new videos. And you know, it's things like this. Somebody could mention me and you suddenly get a ramp up. And I think it's definitely harder at the start. I think once you break through maybe about 10,000 or even 20.
I've got to get to 10,000. I'm not even at 1,000. I've got like 900 followers.
We'll get you there. Come on, we can do this. We can do this. But I think and also remember, once you hit monetization standards, so that is 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time a year, YouTube will then promote you more, so you'll appear in more searches and things like that. I do, you know, because they'll make money from you. You'll get some of the revenue and so will them. So I do think it's hard at the start. The other thing is I do honestly do SEO research, so I will use the YouTube search engine to actually see what people are looking for. I'll use things like Google Trends to kind of see what's trending. But ultimately, I do believe, though, being consistent with content, like at least 1 or 2 videos a week, and you need to commit to a year, like at least in YouTube. Don't think about quick. I see people, DM me on Instagram saying, oh, I started a channel 14 weeks ago, and why haven't I hit? I'm like, it's been 14 weeks. I think because Instagram and TikTok, you can get there faster. YouTube is definitely built on, right, how much you want this, how much. I've got goals to hit 100K. I want to be the first, with that big plaque on my wall and everything. So I know I've got a space for it in my bathroom and everything. So well, I think that's the only advice I could give, is just like keep making it and try and make the best videos you can, like facially, graphics, whatever. Think of it like teaching other people, and that's it. Really it's truly possible for anyone to make content. Just make it as good as you can and interesting. Try and enjoy it.
Do you know, that's probably what I love the most about your content, though. You're so damn honest, and I think we're quite similar in the ways that we talk about some really tough things that we've been through in our lives, and like I fully believe, and I'm pretty sure you feel the same way, that there are some things that I've been through in my life and that you've been through in your life, which you might feel shameful of. And that, oh my gosh, like I've had mental health issues, or I've got divorced, or I've had people die when I was young, and it's all those kind of taboo, shame subjects that people are really like embarrassed to talk about because they're worried about what people will think about them. And you are incredibly open about, if we can touch on some of your sort of backstory of where you've had some mental health issues, because you do talk about it, right?
So last year, I actually made a couple of videos about this when it happened, but last year, in February, I was hospitalised for 3 months. I had a mental breakdown. My particular thing was I had a psychotic episode, it's called. So to give you background, like I've not experienced depression. I didn't have anything like that. I've never suffered since or anything. I wasn't on medication. There's a couple of life events that happened. I'm not going to disclose them, but basically it was pretty much probably triggered by a little bit of trauma that kind of happened. And a psychotic episode basically means one day I was just it felt like a lot of fear and anxiety was building up, right? And that particular day, my episode was that I thought I was going to heaven. So I wasn't going to hurt myself. I wasn't going to hurt anyone. I literally thought it was my day to go and I was ready. So I left the house because I was ready. That was it. It was my time. I was cool. That was it. It was done. And my husband and my sister obviously stopped me. I don't recall a lot of it, but I do recall being in the hospital. Now, I had never been on medication at any point in my life up till that point. And unfortunately, when I was then hospitalised, I was given very, very strong medication for psychotic illness. And I'm not saying anything, everyone's got different paths that they have to do, but someone never having that type of medication before, I actually suffered allergic reactions to it, and nobody in the ward believed me. So when I was telling nurses and doctors I didn't feel well, long summary is basically I ended up in A&E, very, very ill. My heart rate was dropping because none of the nurses actually believed I was ill. And it basically took a doctor in A&E to say she needs to come off the medication. So I was in hospital for 3 weeks in total. The last week was medication free. And I actually won a tribunal to get out of hospital. So let me give you some. So I had to get a lawyer to get out of hospital because I was sectioned. So they sectioned me. And the only way out of a section is for a doctor to be convinced you're okay, or for basically to win a legal case. So I actually had a lawyer. And I won a legal case because they, again, did not believe that I was okay. I kept saying, I'm fine. I'm not on this medication anymore that I was allergic to. It was making me a bit crazy, and all those kind of things. So it was definitely, I'm dealing with something with the NHS as a result of that, a bit of, and I also saw a lot of things in the psychiatric ward that you would not, because I was maybe not their typical patient. I was very aware of people's actions and how they were treating other people who had been there long term. And I saw I'm very aware that I saw things that weren't right. I experienced a lot of stuff that was not okay, you know, in the way I was being spoken to and treated.
Oh my
And that
God.
was me as somebody able to speak up. And now since then, that was one of the reasons why I made a video a couple of months. I took months off work, you know, to recover and get used to kind of life and everything, because the transition as well, getting used to, you know, am I okay in everyday life? You know, is my thinking all right and stuff? And it's fine. I've never been on medication since or anything. And I manage myself with taking more rest and focusing on what's gratitude and just all those kind of good things. But I actually then probably had post-traumatic stress from the hospital experience.
I was going to say,
that was then but the other thing was I met a huge variety of people that I'd never come in contact with either. So I was in a ward where it was mixed ward, but there was people who were suffering from drug abuse, alcohol abuse, were detoxing, were schizophrenic. Like, we could go through everything that was there. And I was just, I've just been me, never exposed to anything like that. And I was able to have conversations with all these people, and, you know, you'd be chatting away and things and really get to know the people. And my experience was from being an inmate there and then not, trauma seems to play a huge, huge factor in a lot of people when they have mental health problems down the line, a huge factor. I think that was one of my symptoms, like what, you know, the brain kind of shuts down away. And the collectiveness seemed to be that people had very traumatic events happen, and in some way the brain was trying to protect them by then going different paths. And so, I made a video. I basically, you know, on a money channel, made a video that was talking about where I'd been for a couple of months. I'd not made videos for 2-3 months, and I shared that story, and I still refer to it because I want my life to be a comeback story. I you know, through all my life, I've probably experienced like bullying and different things like that, right? We've all had these natural cycles in various degrees. And I really do feel you have to try every single day to be the person that, it's almost like the Tony Robbins or these kind of people. They've always had something in the background that pushed them. And I really hope that I can be one of these people that's like, well, okay, this really, really shiza thing happened, but actually look what you can achieve. Like, you don't need to, if somebody says you need to do this and this and be on medication or therapy, that's one way, but equally you can find your own way as a combination of everything that works. So that's my only hope, that like talking about stuff is more, it's not to say, you know, woe is me, it's actually to say, right, okay, these things are absolutely horrible that can happen to people, no excuses, but what about if you use it as a platform and it was actually even if there's one thread of good that you can take from it. And for me, being in hospital, it's given me insight into what other people have gone through in their own life. It's given me insight to say to someone, look, I've experienced this, so come on, we can do, you know, you can do whatever you want, we can focus on personal development. And the other flip side is, you never know, maybe how I saw it as being an inmate, then that means down the line I can tell, well, I am telling other people, you know, I'm making complaints about it, I'm kind of ruffling a few feathers, because I'm like, no, this isn't okay. There's treatment maybe going on that we don't know about, of how people are being treated and spoken to. And I'm thinking, I don't want to speak too much, but very much in the way maybe like the elderly might be treated if people can't talk back, or they're not taken seriously, right? So I was often told, that I've shared obviously, that nobody believed that I wasn't very well on the medication, and that's the feeling. You're just kind of told, could you just quiet down a bit? Could you just get back to your room and stuff? So it's been incredibly a turning point in my life, but hopefully.
I was going to say, that is, oh my gosh, I didn't appreciate all of that detail. Actually, I've not watched that video. I'll have to go back and watch that video on your channel, but I'll pop a link to it in the notes for this. But,
I do talk about happier things. I do talk about what's doing money and things.
Yeah, no, of course you do, because you're an upbeat person. But I think that the word that was coming through to me when you were talking about that story was inspirational, right? Because everybody has got some trauma in their life. Now, everybody's got different levels of trauma. Absolutely. And also some people can cope incredibly well with huge trauma. Absolutely. And other people can't cope at all with something that might be considered to be small.
Yeah.
But we've all got stuff. And I just think if we could all be more open and honest and talk about it, like this conversation we are having, and like when you break your leg, you go to the hospital, you get it put in a cast, right? And then it gets better. Then you have some physio afterwards to repair all the muscle damage.
Yeah.
That's a simple, it's a simple resolution of a problem. All we're talking about here is just something's gone wrong in your head because of some traumatic events. As you say, they can lay dormant in your head for 20 years.
Absolutely.
Like chickenpox virus, and then it comes out and suddenly you're struck down with it. And we're all going to react in different ways. So some people might react with it sounds like quite an extreme reaction you went through. But yeah, and I think my personal experience of traumatic events that happened to me, which I'm not going into the detail of some of those traumatic events, but a lot of it's to do with like my parents dying and losing all my security as a teenager, and then I married the wrong person, blah 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 blah. But I in June of this year, I didn't get to a point where you got to, because I react in a different way. But how I feel is I got to a really, really low point where my body gave up, and I feel like my mind gave up, and I was like sleeping sort of 14 hours a day and stuff in June. And it was all a reaction to, the divorce and getting out of that situation as well. But I had the right people surrounding me. Okay, I've got incredible friends. And just at the perfectly right moment, a therapist came into my life because we were on a course together. And so we were learning together about an emotion. It was a course called Emotionally Wealthy People. So we were learning about the emotions linked to money. She was learning about it for her job. I was learning about it because of
it's interesting as well.
Yeah, it was a brilliant course. It's a beta course, so people can't do it yet, but it is coming. So anyway, at the end of this course, I was like, I actually really need a therapist, because if I don't talk to a therapist, something really serious is going to happen. I can almost I could see it was getting to a point where I didn't know what was going to happen next, and sorted out the therapy. It was a quick. The therapy was called human-based psychotherapy, so it was very quick to go. It was like PTSD type stuff I went through. And by sort of the end of June, I felt so much better. But like, what if I didn't have the 400 quid to pay for that therapy? What if I had to go to the GP, get referred on the NHS waiting list? In 6 months' time, I'd still be waiting for the therapy.
Yeah, especially just now, there'd be no chance of seeing someone. Absolutely. And I think even in my, it doesn't do you any good to think of the what ifs, because I could equally think about, well, if my sister or husband had kept me at home rather than taking me to the hospital. Like, everyone chooses around you the best solution. There's always ways out of it. And I think it's, as you said, life is never a straight line. It's like everything, it's meant to be up, down, roundabout and all that. It's the evolution of your soul, of your growth and all that kind of stuff. And what I do think though is there is great power when you realize you can overcome rubbish things that happen. It's not, because equally you've been able to experience phenomenal things as well. Hopefully you've had, in our case, birth of children. We've had, like at one time, you can never say like a whole marriage is a bad thing, because it wasn't. I guarantee it wasn't. There was elements that were beautiful. Absolutely guarantee it. And that's it. If we deep dive, but at some point there was good aspects in it. And what you do is you say, okay, this is the stage I'm at now, but actually the growth that I've experienced as a person, what's the next thing in store, what's that going to bring? So everything's for a reason, and it's cliche, but I do think it's actually your actions and attitude out of things. And I'm not saying that every day is like Mary Poppins or anything, because we're all human, but what I am saying is I'm definitely trying to make active choices with what I focus on, and making sure and I think I also don't do as much to please other people now. I think actually I kind of say, well, actually, what path do I want to do and things like that. I'm also not scared of a lot of people. Like, I'm happy to take on the NHS or whatever. I'm totally cool with whatever's meant to be is meant to be. So that's the way I see it.
Yeah, no, that's a really great summary of it. And you're right. There's in every traumatic situation, if you can pick sort of positives out of it, I think, like, I often say to people, so I lost my parents when I was a teenager, but there are some incredible positives from that, because it made me the most fiercely independent person. And similar to what you're saying, I'm not scared of anybody, and I've always been like that, but it's almost like that was installed in me as a 16-year-old girl when her mum died, because I had to change as a person then. And that's so hugely, like, that makes me. I'd never not want to be that. So yeah, there's always positives you can pull
And the
out.
flip side as well, like, what if you sharing your story then as somebody who's 16, 17 going through similar, then goes, oh, wait a minute, I can go through another day. Because they're meant to be somebody's mother. They're meant to be somebody who's sharing a story, who's the next president. You never know. There's a path laid out, a long, long life for all of us. And I think the choice is, you never know when you're just speaking to, like we talked about, the therapist just happened to be on the right course. I don't believe like in coincidence. I more believe in, there's just beautiful moments of, there's just a hand there. There's sometimes just this hand that reaches out and goes, do you know what, I've got you. Whatever name you give it, whatever. It's not, luck or anything like that. And, that person was meant to be on that course at that right time for you. The same being, I could equally say in my scenario, that night when I wasn't very well, my sister and husband were there, because what if they hadn't? And equally, and through my hospital experience, when I knew that I was going to, to a tribunal, a legal thing, my mind, it was almost like I knew it had to get to that point, because nobody was believing me anyway. And, so at that point, you almost like you're prepared for things. It's meant to be in some aspects, you wouldn't have the story to then tell somebody else.
Yeah. Gosh, you're an incredible person to come out of all of that. That's amazing. At the you did a little keynotes thingy at the UK Money Blogger event last year.
That's right, last year. Yep.
And I remember, I'll be honest with you, right? I remember thinking, oh, this person's not been around for very long. How come she's on stage talking about stuff?
When were you judging me?
I suppose it was my insecurities coming out as well, but and also I was talking maybe after you.
You were like after me.
I was absolutely crapping myself.
Great.
When you talk to your own community,
that's it. I know all the eyes, everyone's watching.
Oh God, it was so scary. But your talk was amazing, because you started it with an absolute bomb of, I had a mental breakdown a few months ago. And everybody was like, oh my God.
No, but I will say the talk was actually about working from home, ironically. So it was all to do with, actually, as creators, we had to manage our time. I gave you some kind of tips and strategies. But yeah, I kind of shared at the end, like, actually, it was really lovely having a community, what we'd been through and things. So, it was a really fun conference last year. Hopefully it'll be virtually this year and we can enjoy it just the same as well.
Yeah, I don't think that it's going to be the same. But then I've got some incredible friends, like from the money community, and I chat to them. They're like, we're like work colleagues, aren't we? That if you've got a particular, I don't know, like if I've ever got a question about YouTube, obviously I'm messaging you. Or like Faith. Faith much more or less proofread my not proofread, sorry, she was the first reader of my book and gave me a load of feedback. And whenever I'm doing like a really big important newspaper article, like for the FT or something, she always goes through like my articles for me, because she's a trained journalist. I'm an accountant, I'm not a journalist, so she knows the the proper way of
fab. Yeah, everyone's lovely. There's definitely a lot more creators now, but yeah, I joined it 2.5 years ago. I've loved it. It's really good fun. And that's what there has been, people segregating. There's like podcasters and YouTubers, and we all hopefully help each other. It's definitely a community spirit. I'm really thankful to be in it.
Yeah. Not everybody's in there to help you. Just watch out for that. Because when you're doing well, which you are doing well, people are going to copy you.
Yeah, but I see that maybe as a compliment then. Well, first of all, I think it's a shame.
I don't. I hate it. I hate it. Because there's so many people that have ripped off my name.
You see, that sort of thing, if they're literally taking what you've done. I think for me though, in YouTube, you see, when I get a popular video or with someone else, it's common practice for people then to just use the same video title and make their own video. I get that, but I actually think like if I've put out a video on a topic and it's done really well, like right now I've got one that's doing quite well that's about the best savings account in the UK, so it's different accounts, right? So it's doing really well in the algorithm, and I think if I see other people doing that, at least I know I was the first one out with the idea. At least I was. And, you know, people might try and they're never going to equal my style being Scottish and, you know, female. They're never going to quite do it. But yeah, I think I've got better at not being offended by it because it makes sense, especially with videos or Instagram. People want things that they think are going to do well. So if they've seen you do well with it, they're going to latch on. But you know what? Everyone's got to find their creative path, and that won't take them very far. It won't get them very far if they're copying.
No, I was going to say it won't work because like you are you, and you created something you're passionate about. If I go and write a post about the best savings accounts tomorrow because you know, Jennifer's doing really well, so I'm going to copy her. It's not going to work like that. I mean, it might do, but it's all about originality
to stand out. So for example, with YouTube, I've also got different products. So I have a spreadsheet that, you know, I sell a spreadsheet. We've actually sold nearly 1,000 copies of this spreadsheet in the past 2 years, right? Incredible. But then I see like other people doing the same, which is totally fine because it's, you know, their business. But again, I can kind of think, oh, well, I at least started it. I at least started to sell on YouTube, you know, spreadsheets or books or it's free game. Do you know what? I think it goes back to the lack mindset a little bit. And I think I'm hopefully moving towards like, there's more than enough money for everyone. So actually
totally
helps you. Because remember, somebody making content, it could be a 21-year-old brunette female who's Norwegian or what, you know, really, really specific, whatever. They're going to attract a certain type of person over me. Like maybe I resonate actually about 70% is guys that watch my stuff and 30 women, which I thought would be more women. No, right. I would, not that I would prefer, but I always thought maybe more women would resonate towards me. But again, then I think, well, that's my demographic that come to me. I'm cool with that. They're maybe sharing it with their partners. They may be sharing it with their sisters, the aunts or whatever. But equally, I hope that somebody else then is then able to get maybe a different demographic. Okay, can they get the mums? Okay, can they get the sisters? You know, it's going to be very niche what we can achieve, I think.
Yeah. God, that's interesting that you're 70-30, male to female.
You know?
I never would have, but then I suppose you started off quite heavy on like the investment type content. Yeah. And we all know, right, that men invest a lot more than women, which is wrong, wrong, and we are trying to address that balance because I put out a lot.
I'll share a bit of a pet peeve, and this is what I love that you don't do this. My pet peeve with focusing on a particular niche to go after. So there's this common thing that people teach about, like design your ideal viewer, design your ideal avatar, right? Okay. I don't like when people are talking about money, which I love. I think everyone should have unlimited amount. I don't like it when we give it the color pink or blue, right? So it's along those lines. So in order to get, let's say, women investing, I have to be pink, I have to be glittery, I have to have a feather boa. And so that, I just think it's the wrong, you're actually playing to a stereotype rather than saying, I want everyone to get it. So that's my only thing. Like, I don't mind however you're teaching or whoever, but don't also then make your content so, I want to say like stereotype specific, like it's only this type of person who wants to shop in Harrods, and that is just, that's not my favorite. So I try to steer away from that as much as possible, particularly as a woman. Like, I don't want to be sold to like, like the film Clueless. I don't want to be portrayed as that's what I'm doing every weekend. I want to be portrayed as a, you know, as a woman who's just watching content because it's good. So that's where I come from. I'm not going to name names, but I'm sure you can imagine the different content that's out there.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's God, branding things interesting. I have to show you something because
Is your website all pink now? Have I just offended?
No. So I've got my book.
Yes. Wow. Good. Exciting. There's your name and everything. Woo-hoo.
You are literally the first person to see this. Okay, so this is the proof version. Obviously, it's ring binded. It's that's just for the proof. But what I love about the cover is it's so my book is aimed at women, but it's quite gender neutral, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And these are my brand colours on my website as well.
Very smart. Oh no, I love it. Very inclusive.
It's quite rainbow, but it's just so exciting, actually.
That's you're an author now. That's it. Tick.
Well, like
you've been an author before. You've already been an author, but this is a different type of author.
My book, and it's been done properly, like with an editor. Because your videos that I watched a few weeks ago was you did a video on how to self-publish a book.
That's
so
how
I'm going to watch that and see what I can learn from it. And you've talked about it from how to do it from a free point of view.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where with my book, it's cost me about £1,000 altogether. Okay. Is it about 1,000? So my proofreader was 200 quid. My editor was 300 quid.
Wow. Okay.
My two first readers, Faith and Julie, they wouldn't take money, but I've given £50 each to charity. Okay. And then what else have I paid for? Oh, so there's going to be some copies of books going out to, you know, like editors of newspapers and all that kind of stuff. So I think it's about £1,000 altogether, which it's not that much money.
Not that much money in terms of how much these can cost. Like people can be, and I've seen also author book coaches that sell packages for a lot more to kind of guide someone.
Thousands and thousands.
So just you've done incredible then. Good. So that's fantastic. I'll be
but it was quite hard work. I'm not going to lie. It's really not. I think the point you made in your video was you're almost like it's really easy to write a book, is what I sort of felt, and what I'm gonna have an opposing view. It's not easy to write a book. Doing it properly, if you want that book to sell thousands and thousands of copies, which mine will, absolutely, 10,000 is my target. 10,000 copies.
Love it.
It's so much heart and soul goes into it.
It's like a child, isn't it? Like you're reading. I think that's the thing. I'm like, from doing my own book, I spent a couple of weeks making my book, and it's not hundreds and hundreds of pages. It was very concise about some, you know, a kind of master blueprint of money. But yeah, you're right. You actually have to get in a very deep flow state. You have to take your time, make sure it's conditioned right. I think the video that I shared was to actually how to publish a book for free. The whole point was, could anyone do it? And absolutely anyone could. You know, you can do it very straightforward using Asana, break out your chapters, but you have to have the inspiration. Ultimately, you have to have that creative input, and that's going to vary. Some people might find that incredibly easy, some people might find that incredibly hard, but it's all about, do you want to publish this book or not? Will help you kind of navigate that. But yeah, absolutely spot on.
Yeah. So let's touch on where are we at time wise? I reckon we've got 10 minutes left. Have you got another meeting, by the way?
I'm just mindful that I probably need to check my day job.
Okay, well, we'll keep it to we'll do a last question, and then we'll close off. So you've got loads of different income streams, right?
Yes.
Because I think the key to our businesses in particular, and you've got a day job as well. That's just, I can't get my head around, because I can't focus on more than one thing. Like if I had a day job and Mrs. Mummypenny as my side hustle, no way. But luckily Mrs. Mummypenny is making lots of money, so it's fine. So it's really important to have diversified income, right? And having income coming from all different places, because let's say YouTube ends for you tomorrow,
absolutely, yep,
you've got loads of other streams
yep.
that are happening anyway, so you're not reliant on one channel of income.
Absolutely. And that's the best lesson that I hope to pass on to my kids as well. Like right now, in the past it was you get a job for life, you know, you worked in a factory, worked in a company, whatever. Now we have to think about multiple incomes. You have to, especially right now, as we are recording this, the word recession came out, you know, everyone's what's happening, we're in a recession. Okay, calm down everyone. Let's focus. The main thing is, you know, think about your day job, one source, but there's no guarantees with a company being there 10, 15 years down the line. And so for me, my hope is with my YouTube channel as well, is actually to start the called side hustles, you know, the multiple incomes that you can do in your spare time or passively. So in my aspects, in 2 years, I have my YouTube channel, which pays ad revenue, which is wonderful. When someone puts an advert on, I get a little bit. I've got books, I've got courses, so electronic courses people can do. I also, like you, will do coaching sometimes, so that little bit of one-to-one. We've also got things like affiliate links. You've maybe touched upon those, where it doesn't affect the price that somebody's paying, but basically we've directed it there, so we get a tiny, like a penny, a penny if that sometimes. So that's another way. And even my investments now count towards, so the money in the stock market. Yeah. And the great thing about our life, I've been able to build those up over the past 2 years. And I shared on a video recently that it basically is like tripling my income into our household because of everything. We work maybe with brands and sponsorship as well. And last year, after I'd been in hospital, my husband actually decided to leave the corporate world to focus on the boys, to focus on the house, because you know, Mamafurfur and everything was bringing in more, or the equivalent of his wage in the corporate life. So it wasn't a small wage at all. So like, I love the fact it's given us choices, and that would be my goal for everyone. I want you to feel like if something happened, and not just losing your job, but literally if, you know, you want to look after a child or a loved one, you had the choice. You didn't have to say, I can't do the thing and then resent it. I want everyone to have choice in their life with their money.
Yeah. Oh, that's a really great way to end the podcast and the YouTube video. Well done. Very good. So how do watchers and listeners find you on the internet?
On the World Wide Web. If you type in Mamafurfur into YouTube, you'll see my face pop up. I've also got an Instagram account that you can find me there as well. I've just started making TikToks. If anyone would like to join me on TikTok, I'm not dancing, I promise. It's just money information. And yeah, I've got a book on Amazon as well if you look for the Master Money Blueprint. We've got a couple other things as a family. We've got a podcast called The Prosperity Project. It's all about wealth, health, happiness. I know. And then we've got a YouTube channel called The Kempson House, which is behind the scenes here. We do travel vlogs, we do meal plans, we do lots of things like that. So it's a smaller channel, but we have a family channel as well. So I'm everywhere.
Wow, you've got loads. Oh, I'm so happy with what you've achieved, and in a relatively short period of time. But like, if you're good at what you do, right, you're gonna be successful. And if you're passionate, and you are.
Be hugely. I do believe in being rewarded for what you give the world. So that's my hope for everyone. Like, find the thing you're passionate about, and actually you'll probably find the money then feels limitless. It's not like working a day job. You're sharing your talents and services. So I'm going to keep doing this for as long as I feel inspired to help people. Absolutely.
Yeah, and like bring on 100,000 subscribers on YouTube.
Absolutely. I want that plaque from a bathroom.
I can't believe that, 100,000. That's crazy.
That'd be quite crazy. And then I think, why not 1 million? Why not?
Yeah. It's limitless, right?
You can do this thing where you can look at your analytics, so kind of estimate when you're going to hit these markers. And it said for me, I'll hit 100K by next May time, probably, that kind of, and then in 4 years time, I'll hit a million. So I'm like, right, 4 years to go, I can do this.
Wow.
So you never know.
I'm so excited for you. Yeah, right, everybody has to go and subscribe to your YouTube channel, because your videos are really, really good. I often watch them and share them. Okay, thank you ever so much, Jennifer. I really appreciate you joining me. And yeah, so we recorded this like mid-August. I think it will maybe come out beginning of September. I'm not really sure.
Super.
Cool, but thank you ever so much. Really appreciate it. Bye-bye.